but we also encountered one of the craziest, scariest moments of my life. Hello, and welcome back to the vlog. Love having you guys here. Thank each and every one of you for subscribing, for watching, for commenting and liking. So please, if you are not subscribed, please do. I'm going through a ton of old awesome trips. I've been to 44 countries and counting in my life, and I'm trying to recap a bunch of those trips. It's pretty exciting stuff. Today's trip is about Cambodia. This was in November of 2015. That was a busy year. I went all over the world that year. And this was a really cool trip. So I'm a big fan of the TV show Survivor, which by the way, I've recently applied, so hopefully I get on. You should go comment on their Instagram or something and tag me, hey, you guys should take @Sean Bingham. So go to Survivor's Instagram or go to Jeff Probst's Instagram and comment that, and let's see how it goes. But I'm a huge fan of the TV show Survivor, so I'd actually found this island called Koh Rong just off the southern coast of Cambodia. Thought it was amazing. It looked like just an incredible place, a very remote, unique place. And at the time, I'm still into it, but at the time I was especially big into going places that nobody had heard of, nobody had been to or even knew where it was. And Koh Rong, Cambodia was definitely one of those a few years ago. So we went, me and Garrett, my travel buddy, took off. We were gone for a couple weeks, and on the way there we had a pretty long layover in San Francisco, and Garrett at the time hadn't really done San Francisco much, so we went and checked out the Golden Gate Bridge and Lombard Street, and that was about it. One cool thing that you'll notice on this trip, and I've got a picture right here that you can see, is I only packed one teeny little backpack. Not even like a big backpacking backpack, like a school backpack. That was all I took for the whole trip. So the trip to San Francisco was pretty short, pretty brief. It was really just a long layover that we had before we caught our flight. I do remember though, in the terminal, having one of the most unique and delicious burritos of my entire life. Okay, so the journey to get to Koh Rong, Cambodia is the longest, to this day, it's the longest journey I've had ever in getting to any location. And I've been all over the world. I've been all through Asia, Australia. Those are like the farthest away places. Getting to Koh Rong took the longest. Here is, I documented it, and so here is the route we took. Here's what we had to do to get there. So we drove for 1 hour from my place to the airport in Salt Lake City, 2-hour flight from there in Salt Lake to San Francisco, and then a 13-hour flight from San Francisco to Hong Kong, and then a 3.5-hour flight from Hong Kong to Bangkok, Thailand, and then an 1.5-hour flight from Bangkok, Thailand to Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and then a 3.5-hour cab ride from Phnom Penh, Cambodia to Sihanoukville, Cambodia, and an hour boat ride from Sihanoukville, Cambodia to Koh Rong. And then on one side of Koh Rong, we took another 30-minute boat ride around to the other side to Angkor Wat, where we actually were dropped off quite a ways away from where we needed to go because the sun was going down and the guy wanted to get back to the other side of the island before it did, and we had to walk for about 45 minutes to our bungalow. So that is quite the journey. But when we got there, it was worth every second we had spent. It was gorgeous. It's a totally remote island. And again, this was 5 years ago, so I don't know exactly what it looks like now, but at the time, there was no electricity on the island that wasn't generated by a generator, so there's no like real power lines or anything, is what I'm saying. No cars anywhere on the island. If you wanted to go anywhere, you had to take a boat around the outside or you hiked through the middle of the island. There's a few villages. Some other quick stats here about the island that we can splice in. Koh Rong, Cambodia. It's about 30 square miles. There are 6 small villages scattered throughout the island, but there are no cars, no roads anywhere, none. The last 2 seasons of Survivor were actually filmed on Koh Rong before we got there, and it has almost 28 miles of white sandy beaches, most of which are completely untouched. So Koh Rong is beautiful. You can see the villa we stayed in, or the bungalow that we stayed in, was literally on the water, just a hut on stilts. This has been home for the past several days. It was just one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. It was so remote. We ate dinner with the locals, you know, like literally with them in their homes even. They were so kind. We were renting, you know, this bungalow from one of them who owned it. He had built several along the beach, you can see here in the picture. But we just had an absolute blast just exploring this island, taking in the views. I took my KZ sunglasses, of course, and did some photo shoots and things like that. We did some hikes. I remember doing a hike one day where we got a great vantage point of the village up from higher up. And I've actually got that picture as one of the ones in my house that is blown up on canvas and framed here in the home. And the sunrises became one of my favorite things in the world. Usually I'm asleep for sunrise, I'll admit it. But I was up for sunrise almost every day there. The sound of the ocean, you know, was very soothing, but then there was a lot of wildlife that would wake us up. Plus our sleep schedule was just slightly off. So I was awake for sunrise pretty regularly. But the sunrises were spectacular, absolutely spectacular. But we did a cool hike. Remember we went to this really neat waterfall where we had to wade through about waist deep water. It was actually, some of it was kind of gross if I'm being honest, to get to this waterfall. And then it was nice running water and it was clean. And the waterfall was really pretty.
We made it to the fall!
And the beaches were immaculate, untouched, totally just raw as God created them. White, sandy, beautiful. We did go scuba diving there in Koh Rong, and it actually was some of the worst scuba diving that Garrett and I have ever experienced. It was fun to do it and say that we went, but there was just a lot of murkiness in the water, which the water was beautiful. It was a beautiful kind of greenish blue that you'll see. But when we went down, there was just a lot of, I don't know if it's plankton or algae or what it is, but there was just a lot of kind of murkiness when we were deeper that made it hard to see, and it just wasn't that great, but still a fun experience. So one day we did a tour. We paid for a guy to take us around to all these different spots around the island, including where they had filmed parts of Survivor. And we were on a longtail boat with a group of other people that we'd never met before, really nice people. One of them I remember he had a tattoo with a typo, which I thought was hilarious. It was on his forearm. I've got a picture of it. It was like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and the apostrophe was in the wrong spot. And so there was like literally a typo permanently imprinted on his arm. But that day we saw some really cool sights and we did some cool snorkeling, but we also encountered one of the craziest, scariest moments of my life. A storm came in. We were at this cool beach. There was like a swing that we were on. And then there's these clouds in the distance, and those clouds approached and just let loose on us.
This is a rainstorm. Yes. If I don't make it, I love you all. A little scary right now.
I'm talking massive thunderstorm, lightning storm, pounding rain like I've never experienced before, lightning closer to me than I've ever experienced before. The waves were getting big. We almost tipped several times. Several of the people in the boat were drunk, you know, because it was like this happy-go-lucky day. Garrett and I don't drink, so we were not. And I remember thinking, like, we're gonna have to save all these people. And we were quite a ways offshore, and the shoreline was all just a rocky mess anyway where we were. There was nowhere for us to really go. So we had to go out to sea further to kind of like be safer. It was really, really intense. I got a couple quick clips of, you know, some of the pounding rain before it got scary, but it got scary real fast, and we were very relieved when it all let up about 20-30 minutes later. So it was one of those just like intense 30-minute just crazy storms. You think you're gonna die, almost capsized. You could tell even the driver or the captain of the boat was very nervous. You could see it in his face that he was not very happy with what was going on. And that's what made me feel even more scared. But we did make it out alive. Everyone survived. We did not capsize. Everything turned out okay. So that was Koh Rong. Beautiful place, highly recommend it. From there, we went to Siem Reap, which is where Angkor Wat is. And we met up with some other friends who were there. And we just took in all the cool sights of Angkor Wat and Siem Reap, the temples, and they have these crazy trees that will grow right out of the stone temple. And I'm just gonna show a little montage of Siem Reap and all that we saw there. Amazing cultural experience, beautiful area. We got some fantastic shots at sunrise and sunset of Angkor Wat. Went up into the tower and took pictures of the, you know, the whole grounds and everything. So here's a little montage of all that. Check it out. Okay, so there you have it. That is my trip to Cambodia. It was an amazing trip, and it's a fantastic location. It's kind of a lesser known or less popular place, which I kind of like. If you have a chance to go, I highly recommend it. Please subscribe, please comment, please like. You guys are awesome. Follow me on Instagram at Sean Bingham. We'll see you next time. Peace.